Washington, the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Syria, which President Donald Trump on Wednesday announced he has begun, will have an impact on the battlefield and well beyond, with wide-ranging geopolitical ramifications. Trump declared that the troops have succeeded in their mission to defeat the Islamic State group there and are no longer needed. "They're all coming back and they're coming back now. We won," Trump declared in a video posted on Twitter. The White House declined to offer a timeline for withdrawal, but a decision to pull out completely, expected in the coming months, coincides with the roughly 2,000 U.S. troops finishing up a campaign to retake territory once held by Islamic State militants. But it could leave the United States with few options to prevent a resurgence of Islamic State. It could also undercut U.S. leverage in the region and undermine diplomatic efforts to end the Syrian civil war, which is now in its 8th year. News of a full withdrawal drew immediate criticism from some of Trump's fellow Republicans, who said that leaving strengthened the hand of Russia and Iran, which both support Syria. It may also leave exposed an alliance of Kurdish and Arab militias that have been effective against us but is under threat as Turkey weighs a new offensive in Syria. Barack Obama, Trump's predecessor, was slow to get involved in Syria's civil war, fearing being dragged into another open-ended foreign conflict like the one in Afghanistan. Trump is wary of open-ended foreign conflicts, and his decision on Syria raises questions about whether he may also reconsider the U.S. war effort in Afghanistan, where American forces have been fighting since 2001. Here's a look at some of the likely effects of Trump's decision to pull out the 2,000 U.S. troops as he declared the defeat of the Islamic State group. Kurdish fighters and Turkey among the most alarmed at a U.S. pullout will be Kurdish fighters who form the backbone of the Syrian Democratic Forces, an opposition force that has seized about a quarter of the country with Washington's backing. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan vowed this week to remove the Kurdish People's Protection Units, which he sees as linked to the Kurdish Workers' Party, or PKK, the force that has waged an insurgency inside Turkey since 1984. Turkey had earlier been forced to tread cautiously in Syria, with any injury to U.S. troops certain to trigger a crisis. Hours after Trump's announcement, the United States said it had approved a $3.5 billion missile package for Turkey, a NATO ally that had earlier angered the United States by signing an arms deal with Russia. Can his return? Kurdish fighters who were on the front lines of fighting the Islamic State movement will certainly shift focus if they come under attack from Turkey. The United States has not announced an end to its air war in Syria, but it would be relying on significantly less intelligence without troops on the ground. Critics of Trump's decision noted that this sprouted in Iraq after Obama, also eager to end a foreign intervention started under his predecessor, withdrew. Elon Goldenberg, a former U.S. diplomat now at the Center for a New American Security, said that a successor to his could similarly re-emerge, prompting a fresh U.S. intervention. "We're about to make the exact same mistake in the Middle East that we've been making again and again for the past 20 years, he wrote on Twitter. Reinforces Russia and Iran as the United States withdraws. Syrian President Bashar Assad's allies Russia and Iran have shown no sign of leaving. Russia sees longtime ally Syria as a strategic asset in its quest to restore a global role, while Iran's Shiite clerical state sees a religious imperative in fighting Sunni hardliners and protecting Assad, a member of the heterodox Alawite sect." Jonas Perello-Plessner, a Danish diplomat at the Washington-based Hudson Institute, said that Trump's move would make Russia decisively the outside power broker in Syria. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu quickly pledged to defend ourselves in Syria, an allusion to Israeli strikes on targets of Iran and its Lebanese-based ally Hezbollah. Risks for Europe. While the Islamic State group has lost virtually all of its territory in Syria, it is believed to have thousands of supporters who may carry out attacks overseas, often blending in with local populations in Europe. The U.S. Withdrawal leaves France, which still has a small contingent of special operations troops in Syria, and Britain, which according to media reports has quietly deployed a number of soldiers. Former Belgian Prime Minister Guy Verhofstadt said a U.S. withdrawal would be a victory for Russia, Iran, Turkey, Turkish proxies and the Syrian regime. Unsurprisingly, it leaves Europeans more vulnerable, and shows how wrong it is that we do not have a defense force able to help stabilize our immediate neighborhood, he wrote on Twitter, amid French-led calls for a European-wide army separate from NATO. Effect on U.S. politics. Trump, much like Obama and despite his distaste for his predecessor, has called for an end to long-term foreign military interventions, which are costly and have limited support in the general public. Trump's decision nonetheless was condemned both by the rival Democrats, who said he had not thought through his decision, and Republicans, who feared the geopolitical effects. Republican Sen. Lindsey Graham, usually a loyal supporter of Trump, charged that his was not defeated and that a withdrawal will embolden Iran and abandon Kurdish allies. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn.